Hello there, Riderflex Nation. Steve Urban here with more career advice and job interviewing tips for you. And as a quick reminder, if you enjoy our podcast, please remember to subscribe to our channel and like the episodes. And on today's podcast, is $225,000 a year enough? Here's the point of the podcast. Recently had a candidate that got a job offer for $225,000 a year. They demanded $250,000. Our client eventually backed away and passed on the candidate. Yes, you heard me right. They were offered $225,000 a year, but they wanted $250,000 and lost the opportunity. Now, at a certain point, enough should be enough, right? If you've got your life to a certain point where you can't live off $225,000 a year, you might have some priorities screwed up. Maybe. I don't know. I'm not a financial expert, but in general, once you get to a certain point, it really shouldn't be about the base pay. I actually think it should be about the long play, right? What's the long-term goal? Will the company provide value for your portfolio down the road? Does it increase your worth later on if you join that company because of the experience or because of the industry? I really think that's more of why you should accept the job instead of the base pay once you reach a certain level, right? I mean, $225,000 to $250,000, really? We're going to argue about that? I mean, think about that for a second. If you want in the industry and you really want to work for the company and you know it's going to increase your overall value as a candidate later in life, you should probably take the job. I wouldn't argue about the $25,000. Here's the example, or here's the story. I'm not going to mention the candidate or mention what companies that they were applying for, but this is a true story. We had a candidate that was offered $225,000 a year to get into the cannabis industry. Now, for those of you that don't know, that's an exploding industry, right? Whether it's hemp or CBD or whatever, it's an exploding industry. And quite frankly, we have a lot of executives from outside the industry trying to get in. The reason they want in is because it's an exploding industry. They know there's tons of opportunity, and they know that if they can just get in now, they'll be rewarded down the road, with either an equity play or maybe the company gets bought by a big pharmaceutical company or whatever later on. So a lot of executives trying to get in right now. And we just had a candidate from outside the industry, came from food and beverage industry, outside of cannabis. We got them the job offer, and they passed because they were arguing about $225,000 to $250,000 on the base pay. I kept trying to tell the candidate, do you understand the value your portfolio is going to have once you get cannabis on your resume? I really tried to encourage the candidate to think about that. Now, it doesn't just apply to cannabis. It could apply to any situation. My point is, once you get to a certain base pay offer, don't let that be the deciding factor. Look at the company, look at the industry, look at the experience level. Is it going to create tons of value for you down the road, 3, 4, 5 years from now? That's what really matters. And in this case, I think the candidate screwed up, quite frankly, because if they would have taken their education and their prior experience and then got the executive position in cannabis, 3 years from now, their portfolio could probably be worth $500,000 a year. But anyway, they passed. And so the point of the podcast is, please think about the long play, not just the short-term base pay number. And there is your Riderflex tip of the day. We truly hope you find our material helpful and entertaining. And while our podcast can be heard across most platforms, including iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, YouTube, and SoundCloud, you can become a supporter of this podcast by visiting our show on the platform Anchor FM. That's anchor.fm/Riderflex. You can also send us your questions or suggested topics for future episodes to the email address podcast@riderflex.com. Or drop us a voicemail at 888-964-5876, extension 710. Visit riderflex.com to learn more about us. Thanks so much for listening, folks, and have a great day.